Well, we continue to look at the rich Zulu culture as we understand. At this particular hour, the royal family still conducting those rituals at the royal palace, of course, after the remains of the departed king earlier on this afternoon arrived at the royal palace. Ms. Shalo Mhatha is a royal Zulu historian, and she joins me now. A very good evening to you, Ms. Mhatha. Thanks indeed for joining us on the program. I think, it would be great for us to go back and look at, the Zulu monarch itself and the importance of, monarchs in a democratic South Africa and the importance thereof. Talk us a bit through the significance of that.
Before there was politics, before there was democracy in South Africa, even before there was apartheid, the royalty was there, and it kept the peace, and it kept order, and it gave people the compass to navigate their lives. So royalty and traditional leadership is very critical. It's just that of late, many people do not realize that in the rural areas, your first port of call is traditional leadership. There are no SAPS there. There are about 100 k's away, 50 k's away. However, in Duna, Nenkosi, Yasendaweni are always on call. And they do everything. They become, the magistrates. They become everything that assists in regulating people's lives. I mean, that leadership is also then transported to Johannesburg as well, outside the kingdom, where there is a majority of Zulus. They rely a lot on traditional leadership. And like I'm saying, it's been there way before we had other types of government, whether it's democracies or, communism or socialism. It's been there, and it's something that every person, especially who grew up in the rural areas, can relate to. And that is why even now, they are still there, and they're going to be there as long as they are black people.
The preservation of the Zulu culture, we know that this coming December, it would have been the 50th anniversary of course, the departed king on this particular seat. I mean, how important is it going forward that the unity that was displayed within the Zulu culture continues even beyond, the departed king?
If we were ever to imagine a life without traditional leadership, especially as the Zulu, life would be worth living. How would that be? It is unbelievable. We cannot comprehend, we cannot imagine life going on without Zulu traditional leadership. And I know the forthcoming king is coming in very comfortable, that his people as his subjects are more than willing to embrace him and to get his leadership and follow all the way through. So there is no way, you see, the Zulu way of life is centered around traditional leadership.
If at all, I think we all need a bit of education in this particular aspect. Most people have been asking the question about culturally, we know that Ukjalwa will take place with only just a handful of Amabuto and selected members of the royal family, and there won't be any women present there. The role of women in this particular instance, could you educate us a bit on the role of women, especially at a time like this?
Well, in isiZulu, women are actually referred to as inzalabantu, meaning the people who bring life, who give birth to humanity. Therefore, when there's a funeral rites cannot happen without the women folk. They had a very, very important role to play. Let me give you a quick example. When you bury, the women folk are the ones to make sure that the corpse, whether it's His Majesty or a commoner, are in a state that is able to be buried, and they do the rites. Even when they get to the cemetery, the person who must be in the grave symbolically will be a female who's going to accept them, because the grave is like they're going to hand over this body or the soul to the next life. The same way they brought it into the planet, now they're taking it home. And they are the women folk again who then inform the other ancestors, the other side, who are also women, to say, please receive so and so. They are on their way now. So His Majesty at the moment, it was his personal wish that it must be the men folk to go and then inter his remains. However, traditionally women play a very critical role.
Thank you very much indeed for your time, Ms. Shalo Mhatha, joining us this evening. Of course, a royal Zulu historian, talking to us about the history of the Zulu monarchy and, of course, the significance of preserving the Zulu culture even after, of course, the departed king. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the program. So messages